Weird War Facts, Part 10. During World War II, Yang Kyung-jong was a Korean soldier who was captured by the Japanese and forced to fight the Soviets. He was then captured by the Soviets and forced to fight the Germans. Eventually, he was captured by the Germans and forced to defend Normandy, where he was finally captured by Americans and sent to a prison camp. He is the only known soldier to have ever fought on three sides of a war. During World War II, many zoo animals in Germany were taken care of by civilians in their own homes. In 1961, the US Army accidentally dropped a hydrogen bomb on North Carolina. The bomb was 260 times more powerful than the nuke dropped on Hiroshima. Only a single switch prevented it from detonating. Morbid Facts, Part 60. A man was looking for his childhood home on Google Maps when he found both of his dead parents still sitting outside. As the Titanic sank, one female passenger chose to stay on board because she refused to leave her dog. She was found dead in the water, holding her dog in her arms. If sugar gliders are deprived of social interaction, they can become so sad that they can die from loneliness. In 2007, a man from Florida woke up in the middle of the night with a severe headache. When he drove to the hospital, they found a bullet in his head. It turned out that his wife had shot him in the head while he was sleeping. Weird Crime Facts, Part 18. In 2013, a group of burglars stole a bunch of computers from an office building. But they soon returned the items with this note because they realized they had stolen from a non-profit group that helps victims of sexual abuse. These are shoes made to look like cow hooves that were worn by moonshiners to hide their tracks during Prohibition. Serial killer Robert Hansen was responsible for the murders of at least 17 women throughout the 70s and 80s. He would first abduct his victims and fly them to his isolated cabin in the Alaskan mountains, which was only accessible by boat or plane. He would then release them and hunt them down like wild animals, using a knife or hunting rifle. Morbid Facts, Part 61. JFK's little sister Rosemary was born mentally ill, and the Kennedy family didn't want to be embarrassed by her. So they paid a surgeon to perform a lobotomy on her when she turned 23. During a lobotomy, the surgeon would shove a metal rod into the skull through the eye socket and scramble the frontal lobe. Rosemary was awake the whole time, and doctors asked her questions while they were cutting away at her brain. When she suddenly stopped verbally responding, they ended the surgery. Following the operation, Rosemary Kennedy was never able to walk or talk again. She was institutionalized for the rest of her life until she died at the age of 86. Morbid Facts, Part 76. In 1976, 7 armed men broke into Bob Marley's home and attempted to assassinate him. Bob was shot in the chest and the arm but survived. His wife Rita was shot in the head but also survived thanks to her thick dreadlocks slowing down the bullet. Marley's manager claimed that the CIA was behind the assassination attempt. In 1894, a priest in Germany saved a little boy from drowning. That little boy was Adolf Hitler. In many of his later portraits, Napoleon Bonaparte can be seen with his hand over his stomach. This is because he suffered from severe abdominal pain due to what we can identify today as stomach cancer. It is believed that he died from the cancer at the age of 51. Morbid Facts, Part 62. In 2008, a 23-year-old Vietnamese woman suffered from a mysterious food allergy that aged her about 50 years in just a few days. Recognize any of the objects in this photo? This picture is designed to give the viewer the simulated experience of having a stroke. Everything looks hauntingly familiar, but you can't quite fully recognize a single object. In 1939, 5-year-old Lena Medina became the youngest confirmed person to ever give birth. Her son was born by C-section and was raised as her brother. Medina is still alive today, but has never revealed the identity of the father nor the circumstances of her impregnation. Morbid Facts, Part 63. Russian scientist Vladimir Demikhov is widely considered to be a pioneer in the world of organ transplants. He is also more notoriously known for his attempts to create a two-headed dog during the Cold War era. He created about 20 of these dogs, which had the ability to move around, drink water, and even bark. Most died within days, but one specimen was able to live for more than a month. Experts have considered his work horrifying but incredible. These were the clothing and acts of Rome's most famous executioner, Mastro Tita. He carried out a total of 516 executions over a 68-year span. In 2015, 17-year-old Rebecca Townsend completed her bucket list right before she was hit by a car. Her final goal was to save a life. Before the car hit her, she pushed her friend out of the way and sacrificed herself. Weird War Facts, Part 11. During World War II, the Polish army officially enlisted a brown bear named Wojtek. He enjoyed drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, and wrestling, as he served as a morale booster for soldiers. Bill Millen was a personal piper who played his bagpipes on D-Day while his fellow comrades were getting killed all around him. The only reason German snipers didn't shoot him was because they thought he had gone mad. During the Vietnam War, John Donahue took a plane from New York City and snuck into the war zone to deliver beer to his buddies. It is known as the greatest beer run ever, and there have been multiple documentaries made about it. Morbid Facts, Part 79. In 2009, spelunker John Jones was caving with some friends and family in the Nutty Putty Cave in Utah. About an hour into the expedition, John decided to find the route known as the Birth Canal, a narrow passage that spelunkers must crawl through carefully if they dare. After finding what he thought was the birth canal, he crawled in head first and started inching his way forward. But John would soon realize that this wasn't the birth canal, since it was way tighter than anything safe to crawl through. By this point, John didn't even have enough room to wiggle out the way he came, so his only option was to push forward. Over the next 27 hours, hundreds of rescuers failed to pull John out of the crevice. At some point, John died from cardiac arrest and his body was never retrieved. The Nutty Putty Cave has since been sealed off. Weird Nature Facts, Part 18. While it may look edited, this is just a photo of the giant African land snail. While often considered to be an invasive species, they can be kept as pets. They can live for several years and can grow up to 8 inches long. Photographer Herbert van der Beek captured this extremely rare moment of a jaguar diving underwater to catch its prey. Leoconcha hieroglyphica is a mollusk that received its name because it looks like it's covered in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. Only discovered in 1976, the megamouth shark is an extremely rare species of deep water shark. Less than 100 of them have ever been seen or caught. Although they look nothing alike, the stunningly iridescent Nicobar pigeon is the closest living relative to the extinct dodo bird. 14% more likely to die on your birthday than any other day of the year. Despite its popularity, Botox is the deadliest known substance on the planet. Just 1 gram of Botox is toxic enough to kill more than 5 million grown adults. Morbid Facts, Part 65. This is why you should never put your feet on a car's dashboard. 22-year-old Grain Healy had her legs propped up when the airbag went off and forced both of her feet into her skull, breaking almost every bone in her face. As a result of her injuries, part of her skull was removed and she lived without a forehead for 2 years. Celestis Incorporated is a company that will send your cremated remains into space. For a price ranging from $1,000 to $15,000, you have the option of being launched into deep space, to the moon, or into Earth's orbit. In the 9th century, the corpse of a pope was put on trial and found guilty. His 7-month-old skeleton had 3 fingers removed and was thrown into a river with weights tied to it. Weird Space Facts, Part 1. In 1954, Ann Hodges was hit by a softball-sized meteorite while taking a nap in her Alabama home. The odds of this happening are less likely than winning the Powerball, as Hodges was put in the history books as being the only human to ever be hit by a meteorite. This is the clearest photo ever taken on the surface of Venus. If the sun was scaled down to the size of a white blood cell, the Milky Way galaxy would be the size of the continental United States. When Michael Collins took this photo in 1969, he was the only human, living or dead, not contained within the frame of it. Morbid Facts, Part 66. In 2008, Charles Peck was killed instantly in a commuter train crash in California. But somehow 35 phone calls were made to his friends and family from Charles's phone in the 12 hours before his body was recovered. When answered, all people could hear was static on the line. Everyone thought he was just lost in the wreckage until his mutilated body was found. In 1955, a pregnant woman was scheduled for a C-section in Morocco, but she fled the hospital after watching another woman die during the procedure. She was in pain for a few days afterwards, but when the pain suddenly disappeared, she simply went on with her life. 46 years later, she was diagnosed with a tumor. It turned out to be the calcified baby still inside of her. Morbid Facts, Part 80. Don Rickles passed away before he was able to record any lines for Toy Story 4. But instead of replacing him, Disney reviewed 25 years of material from the first 3 films, video games, and other media. They were able to assemble enough dialogue to cover the entire film. This seal pup was abandoned by her colony because she's ginger. In 1945, a U.S. Air Force bomber accidentally crashed into the Empire State Building due to heavy fog. The accident caused the deaths of 14 people and more than $1 million in damages. Plane parts also severed the cables of an elevator and the woman inside fell for 70 stories. She miraculously lived and still holds the world record for the longest survived elevator fall. Weird Movie Facts, Part 2. Real bees were used during the filming of the 90s horror trilogy Candyman. Over the course of the 3 movies, actor Tony Todd got stung 23 times. The producers paid him $1,000 per sting. The gory horror film Cannibal Holocaust was so realistic that the director was charged with murder. Cast and crew members had to appear before an Italian court to prove that the film's special effects were not actual torture. The Nightmare Before Christmas had 24 frames to a second, meaning they had to pose characters 24 times for each second of the movie. In total, the movie consisted of roughly 110,000 frames. Weird Movie Facts, Part 2. Real bees were used during the filming of the 90s horror trilogy Candyman. Over the course of the 3 movies, actor Tony Todd got stung 23 times. The producers paid him $1,000 per sting. The gory horror film Cannibal Holocaust was so realistic that the director was charged with murder. Cast and crew members had to appear before an Italian court to prove that the film's special effects were not actual torture. The Nightmare Before Christmas had 24 frames to a second, meaning they had to pose characters 24 times for each second of the movie. In total, the movie consisted of roughly 110,000 frames. Weird Crime Facts, Part 19. Pablo Escobar's nephew still lives in one of the drug lord's apartments in Medellin. He recently found $18 million in cash hidden away in a plastic bag behind a wall. He told Colombian media that a vision told him where to look for the cash. A Russian man who tried to rob a hair salon ended up as the victim when the female shop owner overpowered him. She tied him up naked and used him as a sex slave for several days. Peruvian Mayor Jaime Rolando Urbina Torres broke the nationwide lockdown to go drinking with friends. When authorities attempted to apprehend him, the drunken mayor jumped into an empty coffin that was lying near him and pretended to be dead. Morbid Facts, Part 70. In 1972, Neil Armstrong visited the town of Langholm, Scotland. When he got there, he was read a 400-year-old law declaring that any Armstrong found in the town should be hanged. This is a high-resolution image of stitches in the eye after a corneal transplant. Thanks to the National Association for the Preservation of Skin Art, you can leave your tattoos behind after you die. After the funeral home has removed your tattooed skin, the organization will preserve it in a frame and send it to your loved ones. This is a photo of Benjamin, the last known Tasmanian tiger, at the Hobart Zoo in 1936. The species officially went extinct when Benjamin was locked outside of his sleeping quarters on a cold Tasmanian night and froze to death. Morbid Facts, Part 71. This is a photo of two 4-year-old boys playing in a sandbox full of asbestos in the town of Wittenoom, Australia in 1954. This was during a time when very little was known about the devastating effects of asbestos on humans. Both boys eventually died from mesothelioma before the age of 40. This is how the population of American buffalo dropped from 30 million to 300 in just 50 years. Those are all buffalo skulls. During the French Revolution, people on death row often fought to be the first one executed by the guillotine. This was because the blade would dull after multiple uses and eventually wouldn't cut the head clean off on the first attempt. A jailer from Georgia was arrested on rape charges. Police say the scratch marks in his mugshot are from the victim fighting back. This is a photo of a 9-year-old boy from Amsterdam during the winter hunger Dutch famine that ended in 1945. Many children carried spoons with them wherever they went just in case they'd be offered a meal. This is a medical journal showing the before and after of a mental patient who received a lobotomy. The caption reads, "Simple schizophrenia patients make nice household pets after operation." Weird Nature Facts, Part 19. This manta ray caught off the coast of New Jersey in 1933 was one of the largest ever caught. It weighed over 5,000 pounds and had a wingspan more than 20 feet wide. Cats have contributed to the extinction of at least 63 global vertebrate species. They are often considered one of the most environmentally damaging invasive predators on the planet. In the ideal environment, 2 rats can turn into 482 million rats over a span of just 3 years. The orca whale who starred in Free Willy was released back into the wild in 2002 after being in captivity for 23 years. A few weeks after his release, he showed up at a Norwegian beach in hopes of seeking human contact. He would even give rides to children on his back. Morbid Facts, Part 73. In 1980, when a group of loggers were cutting off the top of a chestnut oak tree, they noticed the mummified remains of a hunting dog. Experts believe that it chased its prey up the tree in the 1960s, only to get stuck and eventually die. He was posthumously named Stucky. After Wildlife Wonderland in Melbourne, Australia went abandoned in 2012, a dead great white shark was left to decompose in a tank for more than 5 years. This is a leaked screenshot from CNN's supposed doomsday tape. The footage is meant to be broadcasted by the last surviving employee in case all of humanity is about to die. It features a marching band playing the song "Nearer My God to Thee," the same song that onboard musicians played as the Titanic sank. Morbid Facts, Part 74. Paul Carrison's entire skin gradually turned blue after he attempted to use silver as a home remedy. He was trying to treat his dermatitis, a skin condition. It is rather common to break someone's ribs while performing CPR on them. A lot of people say it sounds and feels just like bubble wrap. In 1973, a man purchased an old hearse and told all his friends that he needed it to bring all the people he killed to his private cemetery. While all of his friends thought he was kidding, it was serial killer Donald Gaskins telling the truth. Weird Movie Facts, Part 3. It is widely believed that Shrek was modeled after Maurice Tillett, aka the world's ugliest man. He was a celebrated pro wrestler in the 1940s who suffered from acromegaly, a condition that results in bone overgrowth and thickening. Despite the rumors, DreamWorks has never openly commented on this. All of the snow used in The Wizard of Oz was 100% pure asbestos. The 1981 movie Roar is considered to be the most dangerous film to ever shoot. Over 70 crew members who worked with the animals suffered injuries like bone fractures, scalpings, and gangrene. Much of the footage capturing the injuries was included in the film, resulting in a lot of real blood on screen. Weird Space Facts, Part 2. In 1957, a stray dog named Laika became the first animal to ever orbit the Earth when she was the occupant of the Soviet spacecraft Sputnik 2. The dog was originally reported to have died painlessly in orbit about 1 week after blastoff. But nearly 50 years later, it was revealed that she likely died from overheating and panic just a few hours after the mission started. The entire planet Saturn is less dense than water. This means that if there was a pool big enough for it, the planet would float. Soviet cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev got stuck in space during the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. Since the country that sent him into space had no longer existed, his return home was delayed. He stayed in space for 311 days, twice as long as the mission originally called for.